What's up, people? I am back. I was gonna originally review G20, but I'm gonna be honest. We all know it's bad, and I feel like we're a couple weeks out since. But what I will do, I'll give like my quick, and I think that's what it's worth anyway. Everyone and their mother who's in like this sector has reviewed it and roasted it, so I don't really feel like I need to do a whole video on it. So what I'll just do is give it the 5 minute whatever little review, like I sometimes will do. But the main review is gonna be something good that I saw. Although my friend Calman actually recommended me go to the theater for this because I was gonna watch this movie because I saw the trailer for this a couple times, and the premise is this mom goes on a date after a traumatic event, but she gets messages from this anonymous person basically telling her to kill her date, and I was like, okay. But then I saw it was Bloomhouse, so obviously it's gonna be reserved because it's fucking Bloomhouse. They're so hit and miss, like you don't know if they're gonna fucking make something good or they'll make something really shit. Especially like after last year, they had like, let's be real, three big bombs. One of them I didn't see, but you had obviously Night Swim and Imaginary, and then apparently some movie called Afraid, but it's like AI. I didn't see that movie, but I heard it was really shit too. So it's like, so I didn't really have any faith. But the fact that I'm gonna be honest with you, man, this movie was better than one of the movies I was actually really anticipating this year with Love Hurts. That I was actually going into this year being hyped about. This is way better. This movie is an actual fun mystery. I'm happy. I'll just spoil. The reveal wasn't that the date was the fucking killer. Because I'll be honest, that would have been the fucking cheapest cop out. I was worried that's what it was gonna be, but they actually did not go that direction. They actually added in. So it was like some government dude who's working for the mayor, and the guy's like basically an informant, and he's like a snitch. So that's why he wants him dead. And throughout the thing, she's being blackmailed because the person is at her house, or the person has a person at her house who basically has her kids and is threatening to kill her kids essentially. So that's what makes this movie so actually really well done is the build up. They make you think it's one person, it's someone inside the restaurant. I thought the build up was well done. I love the cinematography is actually really well done too. Like they actually nailed the cinematography. Like the moments she would get messages, it would like appear on the ground, like you're reading the message, like you're almost seeing the message from her point of view, which I really like. I like a lot of the creative choices like that, or like the way like sometimes they would frame the shot like to really show she's isolated. Um, I really love that stuff. I actually like that Violet, who's the main character, isn't like some girl boss who easily gets herself out of the situation. No, and you actually understand in her shoes. And I even like the dude who played her date, Henry. He's actually a good dude, and I'm actually happy they went that route. I would have been pissed if he was the killer, if he was the one sending the messages. Just one, it would have been fucking cringe, and it would have been. I feel like it would have been too obvious. I know it's like I'll bring up a movie like Scream where one of the killers was obvious because everyone was thinking it was Billy, but they at least um gave you a second twist that there was a second killer. So there was still a twist there, even if one of the killers was obvious. I would have been pissed if it was just the date. So I'm happy they did not go that route. They added in this like political, you know, corruption, and this guy knows about it, so he has to die. That's basically what it is. And I like that they just kept it simple. Um, you actually want her to kind of find her way out of this because without obviously killing her date. And then I love the reveal scene, and I'll go more into that later. I guess let's get into G20 really fucking quick. G20 was, at least I did not watch it by myself. I watched it with my friend Cowman, and man, already Love Hurts is like the most disappointing movie of the year, but this is definitely the worst so far. And I have a feeling it's going to be the worst of the year. Just, it's everything about it. The fact that this was clearly made because they thought Kamala was winning. Like, let's be real. That's the only reason this movie was even made, because they thought Kamala was going to win the election. But what's even fucked up is me and Calvin noticed this. They do not portray her as a good person at all. In these kind of movies, normally, they usually portray, like, obviously, like, the character because they want to push, like, this, rah rah girl power. 9 times out of 10, the character is perfect. They're all a good person. Everyone else is a piece of shit. They did not do that. And I'll give this movie, I guess, if I had kind of a positive, there's a character named Manny who's like her security. He, at least, they do portray him as a badass. He's not like some cuck who she does everything. And the movie tries so she was in the military. But I'm going to say it, man. Viola Davis phoned it the fuck in. I said it the other day when I did my last video. She really phones it in this fucking movie. She does not give a fuck. There's a scene where she like trips over her dress and she's like, shit, but no oomph to her voice, like no emotion. And keep in mind, this is during a sequence where the terrorists are in the fucking building trying to kill everybody, or, kidnap the hostages, basically. And then there's like a big shootout and she's tripping. She just says shit while there's fucking guns being shot. Like, what? Her daughter's like a hacker who saves the day. For some reason, Anthony Anderson's in this fucking movie. I don't know why. And Anthony Starr, poor Anthony Starr, because he's a good actor, but he's stuck with dog shit. Because this movie, I'll admit Cobweb is not as bad as this movie, but I didn't really like that movie either. He was wasted in that. And The Boys, that's like a big one because The Boys goes to shit. It's like he's a good actor, but he just gets stuck with shit. And the movie does not do a good job of, like, they try to portray him as a bad guy, but what he's saying isn't wrong. Because the whole premise is about, like, AI, and if they sign this treaty, that it's basically gonna fuck over the people. I'm just gonna abridge it like that. And he's not wrong. I don't like the way he goes about it, but he's not fucking wrong. And Anthony Starr is like the only one who's trying. Everyone else is just not. She's beating up like 300-pound dudes. It's just like, what? I mean, I know I said in the other video that Viola Davis at least isn't like a twig. Like, she's not like uber skinny. She has muscle. And even in this movie, she does have noticeable muscle. And they say she was in the military. She's not beating up these dudes, though. There's some of these dudes that literally were like, they look like Scott Steiner size, Brock Lesnar size. Really gonna have you believe she's just beating the shit out of these dudes? Like, with Braun. There's dumb moments, like, where she basically gets Manny killed because she was like, she has a gun on a guy, but instead of, like, just straight up shooting, hands up. It's like, what are you doing, bitch? Shoot him. He's a bad guy. He's a terrorist. You can shoot him. This movie's bad. So I didn't want to give it too much time. It's definitely like a 2 out of 10. It's one of the worst movies. It's definitely the worst movie of the year so far. We'll see if anything else comes out that could top it. Well, I don't know. But it's definitely, at least for now, it's number one. Most disappointing is Love Hurts, but at least Love Hurts, there's some good sequences still in that movie. There's really none here. Like I can't. The real department I can't fully fault that movie is the action. I think most of the action in Love Hurts is really well done. It's just the movie. It's shit. The movie's shit, and like the plot and everything else. Whereas this movie, everything's wrong. Like, even the action isn't even that good, really. Like, there's no crazy fight scenes or anything like that, or crazy shootouts or anything. Like, it's just, I'd almost say very paint by the numbers action. You got your standard shootouts, your fights, your confrontation in the end with the villain. Yeah. Anyway, let's switch back to Drop. And like I said, the cinematography, I really love that they really did a good job of the cat and mouse aspect of the movie. And I'm happy I saw it in the theater just because of some of the visuals. I don't think I would have fully gotten if I had just, streamed it on the seas like I normally with some movies, like with other movies. So this one definitely was worth it, and I definitely recommend it. I gave it an 8. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. Probably when a better copy comes out on the seas at some point. I'm assuming maybe within a couple of weeks. Speaking of a new movie, I'm also gonna check out. The Amateur is finally on the seas, so I am gonna be watching that tomorrow. So I'll probably be reviewing that. I was gonna do Electric State. I might just save that for next week. We'll do that because on Friday, I'm gonna try for Friday. If not Friday, I'll just do it on the weekend. I'm gonna review Black Bag. That's a movie I've been wanting to see, but it just took for fucking ever to get on the seas. And I guess because it was not enough people saw it. That's one of those movies that just finally, I guess, it's a good quality. It's not like a cam call. I can kind of tell. It's like an actual. So it's probably already on streaming. So it's one of those movies. I guess nobody saw it, so not even how those sites work. So I'll finally be able to watch it, so I'll check that out Friday. Just because the cast hooked me, and I like Steven Soderbergh. The trailer kind of hooked me, so I'll check that out. I'm gonna be checking out The Amateur tomorrow, so a bunch of new movies I'm gonna be checking out. I do want to watch The Accountant too. I'm hoping to try to see that this weekend and try to get a review out, but or early next week at least. But I definitely want to do it on the weekend though. But anyways, let's get started. Subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. We should be back Saturday. I am gonna be going the fuck off about The Rock, WrestleMania. Not just me. And me and the guys are gonna be going the fuck off about obviously The Rock, what he said recently. Some stuff about WrestleMania and probably some other stuff. But let's get into this movie. Oh, I'll tell you now. This movie is very much a thriller. You gotta say thriller slash suspense film. It's not horror. There's no horror aspect about. I mean, it's interesting. I'll give it to Blumhouse. They're trying a different genre. I mean, thriller is there's aspects of thriller that can easily tie into horror too, right? But this isn't really done like a horror movie. There just isn't. There's no there people do get killed throughout the film, but it's not done like a horror. It's more done as a I'd even say there's even aspect of I wouldn't fully call it a mystery crime film, but there's definitely it's more of a mystery for sure. I guess it does have aspect of mystery and crime now that I think about it. So it's more in that vein of genre. So, anyways, let's get into it. So the movie, we meet Violet, who, after her ex-boyfriend's death, who, yeah, I guess an episode he freaked out on her, and apparently he was like really abusive, ends up shooting himself. She goes on a date, and her date at this high-rise restaurant with Henry. This is where we meet Kara, who's a bartender, Phil, and Connor and Richard. One thing I also really love about this movie, and I love this about a lot of movies that have like basically one set. It's not full on one set because there's obviously Violet's house, that's another set, and obviously towards the end there's a hospital, but largely this movie's in the restaurant, like majority of the movie. Like there are scenes sometimes where they cut and it's like she has video of what's going on in her house, right? And then there is one scene when you actually do go back to her house where it gets later on in the film when the kids try to get away from the shooter. Um, but largely this film's in the house. I love largely one set films. I just do. It's very simple. It makes you more creative because it's like, okay, let's make use of this one set largely. We're not gonna go out of it, or if we do, it's out for a couple of other reasons, but we're not gonna have a million set pieces basically. Maybe you have like one or two set pieces. Like really, it's the high rise in her house, which her house isn't fully used like that. A lot of the time it's you're watching what's going on in her house from the video. So she starts getting like drops. No, initially she plays it off like nothing's going on, but then she gets a message that and this is where she talks to Henry about what's going on with the drops, and Henry's more of a tech. He's a photographer, but he also kind of knows about tech. Theorizes as someone in the restaurant, and then the drops escalate. She's trying to play it off, right? Because she's on a date. But then they get more and more threatening until she gets a video from one of her security feeds, from her house that show there's a masked man taking out one of her kids, her daughter Jen and Toby, lock them in a room. And basically and then she gets a message, obviously, you can't call the cops, don't alert Toby, don't alert anybody, or they die, basically. So I like that aspect. It's very, you know, what is, and it puts you in a position. What do you do as you can kind of, you know, empathize. Like, if you're like, I'm a dude. So if I was a father and you get a message like that, and obviously I'll just kind of get to this big point of the film where the whole point is she has to kill her date, or not get caught, or her kids die. It's like, what do you do? Your kids are being held hostage. So how far are you willing to go as a parent to, like, oh, am I gonna have to actually kill this dude to protect my kids? It really makes you question what you're willing to do. And I think this movie really does a good job of it. It does a good job of, like, really isolating her. There's a scene where she not necessarily a panic attack, but she's like freaking out, so she like goes to the bathroom. And I love how big the bathroom is because it kind of adds to the dread of the situation a little bit too. Um, I also like, yeah, this movie's not too long. It's only like an hour and 40. So it has a reasonable build. There's no point where I'm like, okay, I'm just bored. Can we get this is a slow point in the movie. I didn't feel any of that. I feel like the movie kept going, you know. Initially she's instructed to destroy Henry's SD card on his phone, and then she's instructed to um so apparently we basically get, I'll just spoil one of the motives for why one of the person wants her to kill Toby, not Toby, Henry, is he photographed the mayor embezzling money, and basically that's why the person wants him dead. Um, and after, like, Henry kind of starts growing suspicious, but also kind of be like, she's very flaky, she's not really around. So he, basically like, okay, I'm gonna get ready to leave. So she basically kisses him to stay, you know. So he does. The date kind of initially commences. Um, then and then she gets another message telling her to go to the bathroom, finds a vial of poison, and basically is instructed, you gotta kill Henry. And I really love this moment in the movie too, because it's like, this is where like, obviously the fucking freak out's gonna come. It's like, am I gonna actually have to do this? You know, and I really think the movie does a good job at that. I love the cinematography. I love the cinematography of this movie is very done well, and the editing. I love the it's edited, it's done well. Like on a technical level, this movie is good in that front. Um, the mystery, the build up. That's why I would watch this again in that sense because the build up for me, a good mystery that makes me want to come back is the build up. Even if it's a movie I've seen a million times and you already know the twist, the road to getting to that twist can still be really good. The Departed. That's a movie I just actually just got done rewatching uh like an hour ago. Hadn't watched that movie in years and I just thought of I just I don't know, I was thinking about Mark Wahlberg movies and that just came out of my mind and I hadn't seen it in a while, so I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. And that's the build up to the twist. I know the twist. I've seen that movie a lot. But even if you know the twist, it's still so good to get to that moment. Usual Suspects. There's so many movies like that where even if you know the twist, you can always come back to Scream. I'll throw Scream in there. So I'm always cool watching a mystery, even if I know the build up. If the build up's not worth it, and even if the reveal's good, I'll be honest. Sixth Sense. There's some reveals where it's only good once. I think Sixth Sense is the perfect example of a movie where the movie is good. The build up, I even think, is good to the reveal. But it's like, I don't need to go back and watch it. I'll watch it again if somebody else wants to watch who's never seen it. But outside of that, I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to watch it. I don't think the mystery's good enough to make me want to come back. But a movie like this does, yeah. The build up to the reveal of who the person who's sending the drops is very done well. Because there's a moment, there's someone, I think his name is Connor, who's at the restaurant who she thinks is the person sending the drops, which they do a good job making you think it's him. Because I'll be honest, because she argues with him um later on in the movie, and that scene is when I'm like, oh, is it this dude? But actually, it's not. So I like that. So Violet basically, obviously, decides to not kill Henry. So she tries to slips Phil a note, but Phil ends up obviously dying because the person already knew she basically tried to. I think in a way he kind of knew she wasn't gonna do it. So and then she gets drinks and then she does spike one of them, but basically she kind of decides to not do it again. So she kind of causes a commotion, causing her to not drink it. So and this is where we get the reveal that it was Richard who was the person setting the drops because the reveal is he is working for the mayor and he sees Henry as a rat. And because he wants he's going to testify against the mayor. So he basically wants to shut him up. So I like that it's like this kind of government little conspiracy aspect too, and embezzlement and all this stuff. I actually liked it, made it tied into something bigger than just instead of something like I wouldn't have minded if they added some personal like maybe Richard knows her. I'm actually kind of happy they didn't go that route though. I kind of like that they tied in some bigger story, and I thought they did a really good job at the reveal of it because I didn't actually even think it was him. So when it happened, it was like, oh shit, okay. And I thought Richard did a good job at playing because you don't. He was very unsuspecting. He seemed like a normal dude when he first see him early on in the movie. So I didn't even think it was him. So the movie did a good job with the red herrings. Like a good mystery movie does good with these kind of elements: red herring, the build, the reveal, the twist. And I think this movie, really nailed all that. I mean, I there's little issues, here and there. There's probably some little plot points I could probably really nitpick, especially if I watch it like the second time, right? But I can't think of anything at the moment that really heavily brings this movie down. Like the acting's good from everybody. Do I think the third act when she gets to her house was a little rushed? Yeah, but I understand it kind of you kind of had to feel that because I guess I'll just spoil it. She ends up when Richard does his whole speech, she ends up actually poisoning Richard's like cheesecake. It's like some kind of cheesecake he gets. Because he seemingly calls off his guy at her house because she seemingly is going along with the plan. But so he ends up freaking out when he realizes he gets poisoned. So he starts shooting, causing a commotion, tries to kill Violet, but she manages to cause a window to crack, blowing him out the window, and Henry ends up saving her. But before Richard died, he managed to get a call in and tell his guy to go in and kill the kids. So this is where we do kind of cut back to her house, and the kids trying to get away from the shooter. She makes it in time, and basically she and Toby um Jen is shot, but I don't think she's killed. She's like injured. Um, but they managed to make it back. She manages to make it back in time. There's a little bit of a struggle. Not a little bit. It's a pretty. The struggle goes on for like the fight. It's not really a fight, but like the struggle to try to save her kids goes on for like a good like maybe 10 minutes. And Toby manages to retrieve the gun. He uses like some kind of RC thing to give it to Jen, and Jen manages to get it and kills the guy. Then we're back at the hospital. Jen, Violet, and Henry make plan for another date, and the movie ends. I really like this movie, and definitely I'm hoping maybe pending on what other stuff come out, this definitely will probably be my favorite movie of the favorite movie of 2025 list. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I like the build up to the mystery. I like that the killer was someone, or the mastermind behind the whole thing was someone I wasn't expecting. I actually like the tie-in with the whole mayor and political embezzle. Oh, speaking of which, um, the mayor gets exposed. I forgot to mention that yet. His whole thing gets exposed, and he's basing, trial basically. So but I did like that whole tie-in. I love the acting. I actually thought Henry and Violet had a good chemistry too. That I'm kind of happy that they didn't make him they didn't make him a villain or anything, because it made more sense to make him and her like a couple towards the end. They had chemistry. I don't think there needs to be a drop two. This is definitely a one-off film for sure. I don't really see how you do another sequel unless it's like someone who knows Richard wants to get revenge, but that would be stupid. At that point, you're just doing the same thing. This isn't a slasher franchise. Movies like most mysteries that are like, especially if there's no slasher or horror aspect about it at all, let that be a one-off film. Hollywood, this is a good movie, but it doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't warrant one. It's definitely a one-off film. I don't need another one. um, but I really thought this movie was well done everywhere else. Like the cinematography, the acting, the build up to the reveal. I love that it was largely one set. It was largely the high rise they were at. You know, I thought the Richard did a good job at playing the villain. Likable characters. I actually liked there wasn't a million side characters either. There were side characters that were in the restaurant, but there were people that worked there. They were. I think Connor was like was kind of a customer, but they were within the restaurant. They weren't like she had any friends, and Violet's a likable protagonist. You wanted her to succeed. You wanted her to find her way out. I like that she didn't play her like a girl boss. They didn't write her like, oh, she's gonna strong arm everybody. She's the smartest in the room. She's some hacker. She could no. She didn't know what to do. There was moments her back was against the wall. The movie did a really good job at portraying that. I know I say a lot, but they really did a good job at portraying that. Some of the shots where she felt, they really made her feel isolated. They really nailed that shit. Um, Good dialogue. I like that there wasn't a slow moment in the movie. I didn't feel like there was a lull in the movie at all. There wasn't. I wasn't like, okay, I'm bored, or okay, we're getting a little draggy. Let's wrap it up. There was none of that. Like, I didn't feel like there was any moment where like I wanted it to end. I was ready for it to end, and at least not in that way. I was actually kind of sad it ended. I wouldn't have minded if there was like an extra, like, to be honest with you, it was hour 40, so I wouldn't have minded like an extra 20 minutes. I'd have been fine if they added another 20 minutes. I'd have been cool with it. I would have been cool if they dragged out a little bit more before we got the Richard reveal. I would have been cool with that if we got a little bit more before that. So, but yeah, overall, I really like this movie. It's definitely 8 out of 10. It's definitely up there for one of my favorite movies. It's not my favorite so far. My favorite movie of the year is still, at least as of now, is The Monkey. I really like that fucking movie. It's a tie between The Monkey and Hard Eyes. It's a tie between those two. But I have a feeling it's not going to be my number one. I'm hoping 28 years later will be, or I'd even take Nobody 2 as my favorite movie of the year. But anyways, this was really good. I definitely recommend it. If you can, go see it in theaters. You don't have to. It has been out for a while, so you could probably, there's a point you could just wait for it to go on streaming. But it's definitely worth watching, though. I definitely think it's worth watching. It's actually a movie I definitely recommend. So, and Bloomhouse, I'll give you a win. But Bloomhouse, I think this is what you need to start doing. Branch out to other genres. Maybe don't do comedies. Try to stick within your wheelhouse. Maybe do horror comedies, But do stuff like that. Like, not do these fucking shitty horror movies where you don't even fucking try. Because you know what? I have a feeling A24 has already kind of eclipsed them in that aspect with the horror stuff. I'm sorry, Death of a Unicorn is a far better movie than the last like 3 Blumhouse films outside of this one. I think I like. This might objectively be a better movie, but I think I enjoyed Death of a Unicorn a little bit more. But objectively, this is probably a better movie. If I were really to look at them as movies, yeah. But outside of this one, the Death of a Unicorn is like better than the last several um, Blumhouse movies. We'll see what Blumhouse does with Megan 2. I don't love the direction it's going, but I have to accept it. So I'm gonna just go in taking it for what it is and not for what it wasn't. Because I'll be honest, Megan could have been, and this might be a separate video I do, where I really think Megan could have been a new horror character you could have brought in. I actually didn't hate the idea of a Megan 2. Because I'm like, it kind of makes sense. She's an AI, so she can live on. There's a way you could stretch it out. But I don't like them going this direction. I would have preferred a horror comedy because I feel like the horror is just straight up gone in this new one. It looks like it's gonna just be an action movie. Maybe there might be a scene or two where there's some kind of horror, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm even being nice saying that. I actually don't even really think there's gonna be any horror. I think this is gonna be straight up an action film. It's literally gonna be T2 or Aliens. But T2 is a better example because Megan's basically the good guy. But I don't want to go on too much on a tangent about that. But my main point with that is I really think she could have been your next horror iconic. You have art right now. You could have added Megan to that list. Because that first Megan I actually really liked. It's not a great movie. There's a lot of plot issues if you really think about it. But it's still a fun movie overall. But anyway. But Blumhouse, do stuff like this. Do more movies like this. And I'm worried. I don't know how much it made in the box office. I think it came out like around the same time as Minecraft. So I think it got like destroyed. Probably. So I have a feeling, we didn't do much money. Well, granted, it probably didn't cost a lot. So maybe that could work for its favor. I'm hoping so. Because if Blumhouse won't do stuff like this, branch out and do different genres. Maybe do some more thrillers. Do some more thriller mysteries. Do stuff like that. You know, you're not really nailing it with the horror right now. Because I can't even count Megan 2 because that's an action film, at least from the looks of it. So leave the horror to like Bloomhouse, even that Neon studio that did the Monkey. Granted, they did Long Legs, which I really hated, but they did the Monkey, which was really good. So, you know, studios like that seem to be coming in and doing more of better horror stuff. So just maybe Bloomhouse, maybe do the occasional slasher, but stay out of like the major horror stuff because you're not nailing it anymore. But I have a feeling, I think they did announce another Insidious, so I don't know. But anyways, this movie was really good. I definitely recommend it. 8 out of 10 movie. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Tomorrow I'm gonna be reviewing Amateur. This one I'm going in blind. I saw a trailer. It looked kind of decent. Rami Malek is a good actor, so I think it could be good. It's an interesting premise. Like he's not your normal action star. Maybe this can do what Novocaine was trying to do, but did it really shit. So or very mid. Um, Lawrence Fishburne's in it, so I'm gonna go check it out. Um, so I'll be watching that tomorrow, and then Black Bag on Friday. I'm gonna try to do it Friday, but if not Friday, then the weekend. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it here. Subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.